Alright, so this is a follow-up vid to my other commentary video. This is a discussion about the potential or best staples I've seen so far in commentary format. There are plenty more, but these are the ones that stood out to me the most. I'll just start down the list. So the first staple we have is Ash Blossom Enjoy Spring. This card is, as you know, incredibly strong in current format. It's the same thing here. It debated in Structure Deck Soul Burner as a common and is perfectly legal for this format. I mean, there's nothing else to say about the card. It does everything you want it to. It stops other cards. The card's always just going to be good in this format. The next card is DINOWRESTLER PANKRATOPS. This was a common in Soul Fusion. This is essentially a Cyber Dragon with a pop effect. It is very large and very strong, I will say. It can swing the game by itself. It's easily recurable because I've seen decks try to just recur only this card, just turbo it out basically, because it is searchable too. And as the powerhouse of cards, that won for a reason. In this format, it is a very versatile card as well. You could use it to stall or you could use it to push. You can do whatever with it. I've seen it in the main deck a lot as well. The next card is Pot of Desires. This card is incredibly strong and versatile card as well. In low power formats, this card essentially just says draw 2 cards at no cost because you don't have engine requirements in these decks. Basically, like, this is just an auto include 3 of in almost every deck I can think of right now. There's no downside to playing it, and like the only counter to it is really Ash, since Imperial Order isn't a card you'll commonly see in this format.
Alright, next we have Effect Veiler. So in this commentary format, we don't have impermanence. The lowest rarity that we have for infinite impermanence is a super rare from the Cyber Dragon, Cyber Dark structure deck. However, we do have Effect Veiler, which has always been a relatively popular card in the TCG metagame. Really, Effect Veiler acts as a budget impermanence in this case, and it does trade 1-for-1 with powerful normal summons such as Goki Suplex. It's actually one of the most important things. Other examples would be Shaman of the TENYI. That's going to be another powerful one. Some of the Lunalight fusions can still be targeted. You can still negate their effects with Effect Veiler. The only thing that Effect Veiler is not good for is the lack of good generic synchros. So it makes the tuner part not as relevant, but Veiler still does remain a very solid option. And next we have Torrential Tribute, which acts as a board wipe, which is whenever a monster is summoned, you can destroy a monster in the field. Even in the TCG, it's always been a very potent card, especially when it's at 3. And really, you can play effectively 6 copies because Trap Trick was printed as a common, and a bunch of decks are playing it right now. And so really the lack of in-engine spell and trap removal for most decks, really only TENYI and maybe a few other decks, Cyber Dragon for example, have really an in-engine spell and trap removal, so it's very difficult to play around, unlike the current format. Torrential Tribute definitely is going to be a 3-of staple in many decks. It'll probably be seen quite often as a 3-of in the side deck as well. Then we also have Solemn Strike, which as everyone should be knowing about this card by now. It's been the TCG for almost 6 years now. It is a very powerful card, 1,500 life points. It's more relevant, life points is more relevant in Common Charity, but with Solemn Strike, really the 1,500 is mitigated by the powerful 1-for-1 trade in most scenarios, and honestly it can swing for games versus a lot of more extra deck reliant decks. It can negate Gizmek Orochi, it can negate the TENYI monsters, can negate the link summons of those TENYI monsters, some of the effects for the Lunalight cards, negate entire Pendulum summons. It is a very strong card right now. We have Time Thief Redoer, and it's one of the best generic rank 4 options that we have in Common Charity. And most decks are actually playing quite a few trap cards relative to other formats right now. So it is possible to actually steal one of those trap cards with Redoer Standby Phase effect and make it even stronger. Really Omega, Psyframe Lord Omega-like effects to dodge those effects. Line Up Rabbit we've seen. Weather Painter cards, they'll have those kind of effects. They tend to do very well in these lower power formats, especially for 2400 attack. And the 2000 defense for, again, a completely generic card. You can use each of its effects once per turn. It is very strong. Honestly, it could be considered an alternate win con for some decks as well. We also have BORRELOAD Dragon, card originally debuted in Circuit Break. Was reprinted in the Rocket Structure deck as a common. It's extremely strong as a finisher, so you can eventually, with 3 effect monsters, it's not difficult to get in this format, especially in decks like Goki. It plays around, funny enough, PANKRATOPS and Mirror Forces. You can use BORRELOAD's effect to effectively stop a Mirror Force, prevent it from activating, because neither player can respond, or rather the opponent can't respond to its attack and defense modifier effect. And it's really a common end boss monster for decks that play Scapegoat. Because it can't be targeted by monster effects, your TENYI Spirit VISHUDA can't out it. Really, you have to try and destroy it by battle, or use a card like DINOWRESTLER, Paleozoic DINOWRESTLER, or something like Torrential Tribute.
The next card is a pair of cards. It is a TENYI Spirit VISHUDA. This card came common in the 2020 Megatons, and is a very strong option for removal. What you do is you summon VISHUDA, make it into TENYI Monk, and then banish VISHUDA to bounce a card. So this is good because it either forces out an interrupt, or you can just spot remove any card you want. There's no locks involved, and it even leaves you with a monster at the end, so that remains one of the stronger going second generic cards. Finally, we have Kaijus. Kaijus are just as you assume they are, just tribute a monster on your opponent's side of the field and summon it to their field, and then you just have to get over the card. This is really good in combinations with cards like VISHUDA, because you can just tribute their monster, bounce the monster back to your hand, and summon it again. This is really good versus decks like Goki and Lunalight, because it's very hard to remove their boss monsters. Kaijus are generic, there's no locks on the cards, and they can out a variety of different monster situations. Even if you open multiple, you can actually summon more to your field. So that is all 10 of the potential cards that I wanted to talk about today. There are a lot more, but these were the ones that were most noteworthy in my opinion. I would like to thank Eric Meadows here for helping with this video, and that is it for now. Keep a lookout for more Ozone commentary videos.